Welcome to the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube. This is our Awakening Together weekly gathering. Each and every week we have a different minister who speaks. If you'd like to attend our services live, please visit our website awakening-together.org. Click on Online Sanctuary on the main menu. Then, How to Enter the Sanctuary. Our services are held Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary.
All right. Good morning. I'm hearing myself echo in the background, but I'll get over that. Happy Sunday. Coming to you live from Southern Indiana. I'm home visiting Connie, so it's nice to see everybody. So we are here for our weekly gathering. Okay. Chilly and drizzly in La Vita. Yeah, trippy. Okay, so let's look at our statement of purpose. And we are an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. And the core value, it could really be all these, you know how that goes, but it will be core value number 5 that we'll focus on this morning. We accept all forms as temporary appearances permitted through enduring awareness of self. We live this value by honoring all appearances and all experiences while continually reflecting on changeless truth. Let's take a moment for prayer. And happiness and gratitude is what we're going to talk about this morning. And I just want to express my gratitude for all of this, for all of life, for this community, for this opportunity. And my heart just fills with joy when I look at that gratitude. I'm grateful for all of you who are here with me. And I love you all. Okay, amen. So what we'll do now is Connie's going to read for us, and Connie is reading from Jan Frazier's book, The Freedom of Being at Ease What It Is, and she's showing it to you there on the screen. So, okay, Connie, let me get settled, and you go right ahead, my dear.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read a couple chapters, Presence and Timelessness, and Life is Now. Presence and Timelessness. The hallmark of the awakened state, whether it's enduring or fleeting, is purity of attention to the immediate. The word presence, as truly describes the awakened condition as anything could, because it conveys how the perceiving, living intelligence is present with the present moment. Awakened awareness is literally all of a piece with the present reality being perceived. The one being present and the reality being encountered are experienced as a whole. Anytime you're in a state of pure attentiveness, focused entirely on something that's happening now, you don't feel at a distance from what is. There's no sense of being an entity observing something existing in time. You are the moment. This phenomena is sometimes exactly referred to as being one with or having merged with it, but the actual experience is of identity with the moment. In the aliveness of presence, no merging is felt because there's no separate someone having an experience. There is simply happening, simply this, whatever attention is given fully to whatever is happening. This attention can feel its aliveness only in the present. Reality is a feature of this moment, not of some recalled or anticipated moment or period of time, last winter, the year you were 18, all day yesterday. When you experience pure attention in a moment, when you're riveted on some present happening, something overwhelmingly beautiful, dangerous, bizarre, painful, shocking, time appears to stop. A musical performance of extraordinary beauty, the sheer face of a mountain being ascended, someone in the room having a heart attack. At such a moment, attention is undiluted by anything in the mind. You are stunned into momentary awakeness. Though the content of the present may be in no way spiritual or even pleasant, the essential feature is purity of attention. Such a moment often will be recalled later as having a quality of conspicuous stillness, mental quietude, and vitality, even if the moment carried difficult content. The impression of time having stopped is just an appearance. It's not that time was flowing and now it has paused. It never was in motion. It's just that at a moment of pure attention, the profound stillness within is fleetingly realized. The flood of peace and well-being comes because the mind has grown quiet. It stopped insisting that words and thoughts are reality. The mind isn't thinking about what's happening. It's not narrating, labeling, anticipating what's next. It has dropped the pretense that anything but now is real. Such is the power of attention. The exquisite stillness outside of the illusion of time is the experience of eternity. Eternity isn't an unending succession of moments stretching into some unimaginable forever. It is timelessness. In absolute presence, this is known. The present moment isn't located between the past and the future. However much the mind might wish to insist on this picture of time, the now isn't a point where past and future meet. The now is outside of time altogether. Time has no independent existence outside of the mind looking before and after. Other moments can occur only as thoughts, not as inhabitable reality. The higher awareness knows that only this moment is real, that the future will never come. Maddened by this idea, the mind cannot comprehend its truth. The reason an awake person doesn't fear death, which seems to exist in the future, isn't because of some assurance of afterlife or otherworldliness. It's because what's not immediate isn't experienced as real. What is not real cannot be perceived as a threat. It's understood that death will someday come. It just isn't relevant now. And that's when the now of dying comes, then it will be real. And if you're awake, you won't think to resist it. You'll simply be with the moments leading up to death as you've been with all previous moments. The other reason death isn't feared is that the body is no longer identified with being you. Next chapter. Life is now. All of rememberable life is just a thought. However significant it was in time, however enduring its impact, only in the present tense moment it occurred would it ever be real. Anything anticipated, when, if it happens, will happen in some moment. It will be real then, and then only. What's crucial for the person engaged in spiritual inquiry is to get the difference between the life of the moment remembered now and the actual life of the moment as it was lived, to not confuse one with the other. If you ate a bowl of oatmeal this morning, it was reality then. Now it's a thought. The memory is a real mental construct, but it's not the same kind of real as the bowl of oatmeal when it was being eaten. It's not that you have to convince yourself that time isn't real. It's that whenever you're thinking about something in another time or place, realize its sole reality is the form of thought. When you confuse memory or any thought with reality, you miss the now. The familiar self experiences the mind's content as being of the same order of reality as what's actually taking place here and now. This self has a pretty constant need for content, and the mind happily obliges. Over and over again, life is happening here, but attention is elsewhere. The goal is to learn not to confuse a mental construct, however useful it may be, with reality. There's nothing wrong with mentally evoking a picture of another time or place so long as you realize the thought has no independent reality. As soon as you stop thinking, the thought, whatever it points to, ceases to be. From within higher awareness, when the mind is being rightly used, there can be deliberate mental reference to something beyond the immediate scene, but there's no illusion that it's real. Either you're living life or you're living in the facsimile of reality that your mind creates moment to moment. You don't have to make yourself be in the now. There's no trick to make yourself be in the present. You already are. There's no place else you could be. You have only to notice what already's the case. How much do you want to have your life, to really have it, to be it? To come to your last moment and know that life didn't pass you by. It isn't life's content that determines its value. It's the awareness you bring to it, moment to moment. It's attention itself. Presence is the same regardless of the particulars of the moment.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that reading. Appreciate it. Wow. I don't know if that hits you the same way it hits me, but it's just amazing. So first of all, let's try and orient this to what I said I was going to talk about. You'll notice she didn't mention happiness in there anywhere. But we're going to talk about that. And hey, Connie, can I have that book? Because there were a couple things I wanted to reference. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. I know that there was one line that made me go, wow, that wasn't in that reading. Let's see if I can find it. Wow. I don't think I underlined it even. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, there it is. Got it. Okay. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about this. First of all, as I said earlier, I'm here at Connie and Ellen's on vacation, and I'm learning to work with my calendar. And I looked at my calendar, I don't know, a month ago, right after I'd made plans for vacation. Went, I'm going to be, in Louisville for vacation during the time that I'm supposed to speak. It was that same morning that, we often talk about how being in the shower is one of these moments that lends itself to stillness. And in my head pops the title of the service, The Pursuit of Happiness. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Because I came in, ostensibly, I came in for the family's 4th of July celebration. And of course, the pursuit of happiness is a phrase from the Declaration of Independence. And in it, Thomas Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." I got to thinking about that, and I'm not the first one. Lots of people have written on, why didn't he just say, happiness is a right rather than the pursuit of happiness? And, there's theories, you can't guarantee happiness. And he did mean that. And there's all kinds of different scholarly articles on that, I can tell you. But it really got me to thinking about being with this idea of the pursuit of happiness. And I spoke with Inner Wisdom about it. Not surprisingly, this is also something that we've been covering in Gentle Healing Year 3. The quotes have been on this same idea. I've been speaking of happiness. Quote 310 from the 7 Steps to Awakening says, I'm not even sure who it is. I don't have it on this paper, but it's might be Nisargadatta Maharaj, is it? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, the quote says, "Cease from looking for happiness and reality in a dream, and you will wake up." And so I asked about that. I said, "Wow, what would you share with me about these quotes?" We contemplated 4 that same day, but all on that same subject. Cease from looking for happiness and reality in a dream, and you will wake up. And you can see right there the connection, the pursuit of happiness. Cease from looking for, cease from pursuing happiness and reality in a dream, and you will wake up. Inner Wisdom said, the happiness conundrum. Seeking for happiness is the cause of your restlessness. Seeking is always there, never here. This is the ego's greatest tool, the idea that something else would make you happy. Have you ever found this to be so? Doesn't even the world know this truth? The grass is always greener on the other side. Happiness is not something that can be found out there. It can only be discovered in here. So I asked, okay, why should I be happy? And Inner Wisdom says, why shouldn't you? Why should something need to change or to come into being for you to be happy? You have decided the thing that is needed to bring about your happiness. You have decided the thing that is needed to bring about your happiness. Doesn't that indicate that happiness, as you perceive it, is merely a personal preference? Why not decide why not decide the thing that is needed is the thing that you have? You're wise to see how this very simple truth is consistent with the wisdom of practicing gratitude. Gratitude is an acknowledgement of happiness now. That's all. Again, the happiness present is not for the thing, but for being. The truth is, happiness is being, not getting, not giving, changeless and changelessness itself. You do well to contemplate its nature and your own. Excuse me. So these messages are right on time. The other quote I wanted to read you from Jan Frazier's book, and this is a fabulous book. I'm so glad I picked it up again. And she's talking about enlightenment. So I'll read it like she wrote it, and then I'll also share with you. I'll change it up a little bit and share it with you. But she says, believing it's necessary to wait for enlightenment to reveal the truth is allowing an idea of a future possibility to deflect attention from what's already here now. She's talking about, this whole pursuit of enlightenment. But the same can be said for happiness. So I want to read it, her sentence, with happiness instead of the enlightenment idea. Believing it's necessary to wait for happiness is allowing an idea of a future possibility to deflect attention from what's already here now. We often talk about the fact that happiness is our true nature. I don't know, several phrases to that effect, which all, sounds pretty on an intellectual level. But I think if we can really get Sinus says it's our birthright. Yeah, we often talk about it in those terms. But I think if we can really get what's being said here, we can find that, just occurs to me that happiness and enlightenment, they're the same thing, right? They are the nature of our being, and they are what we find when our attention is on this present moment. And if those just sound like words to you, we'll give it a shot. Because if you just be in the stillness of any moment, of every moment, you'll find the happiness there. You will find the gratitude comes of itself. It's this very visceral thing that's present when you're present. The gratitude, and again, I say very visceral. I mean, my experience is when I am truly just here, not, thinking about what's going to happen next week or what happened, before, or what I got to do. Or if I'm just here, it just bubbles up. It just, this feeling bubbles up. I've termed that feeling gratitude, and I think that it is. She says, anytime you're in a state of pure attentiveness, focused entirely on something that's happening now, you don't feel at a distance from what is. And see, this is the problem with the pursuit of happiness. If you're pursuing happiness, if you're thinking, well, when I get that new car, when I get that new job, when this rash goes away, whatever it is, right? When I turn 16, right? I can drive, then I'll be happy. You put yourself at a distance from it. When you put these conditions on it, you put yourself at a distance from it. You're like, well, I'm clearly not happy now, so can't wait for this to happen. And in fact, again, I encourage you to read her book, The Freedom of Being, Jan Frazier, The Freedom of Being, because she talks about this at some length about the nature of time and the fact that, she says it here very well. The now is outside of time altogether. Time has no independent existence outside of the mind looking before and after. This time thing is something we made up. And then we try and live in what we made up. And that's impossible. That's absolutely impossible. You cannot live in any time but the now. So, again, when we put our attention on this idea of happiness in the future, we're living in our heads, first of all. And second, it's actually impossible. It's impossible to be happy in the future. You never catch happiness that way. You're always in pursuit of happiness. The only time you can be happy is now, and that's what we call gratitude. And Jan refers us to those moments, and I'm sure you've all had them, when time seems to stop. She says, when you experience pure attention, in a moment when you're riveted on some present happening, something overwhelmingly beautiful, dangerous, bizarre, painful, shocking, time appears to stop. At such a moment, attention is undiluted by anything in the mind. You're stunned into momentary awakeness. Though the content of the present may be in no way spiritual or even necessarily pleasant, the essential feature in those moments is purity of attention. Such a moment often will be recalled later as having a quality of conspicuous stillness, mental quietude, and vitality, even if the moment carried difficult content. And, I remember in particular, I was in a traffic accident. I got T-boned. And I remember it felt like I was floating around the car, but it was all so still, so that you could almost hear the stillness. It was so still. And it was me and the car and the things in the car were moving around in this stillness. And the truth is, that's what's happening now, right now. That's all that ever happens. I just had a glimpse of the truth, the reality of what life is in that moment. She says, the impression of time having stopped is just an appearance. It's not that time was flowing and now it has paused. It never was in motion. This is something that the mind does because it likes to connect, it likes to have this continuity and make sense of stuff. But that's not actually what's happening. Time itself doesn't exist. We just put that on it. What's actually happening is stillness. And anything that seems to happen happens within that stillness. And again, you don't have to take my word for this. Investigate, And I saw, I don't even know where I saw it when I was looking up some of this stuff. It said, somebody was talking about, quit meditating and start paying attention. Right? Just stop meditating. Whatever that is that you think you're doing when you sit down on the cushion, stop doing that. Right? And just be in the stillness. Because that focus, we also talk about awareness, watching awareness. That focus on the stillness, that is awareness, watching awareness. That is meditation. That is what we seem to be trying to achieve. That's awakeness. Jan Frazier started this section by saying that a hallmark of the awakened state, whether it's enduring or fleeting, is purity of attention to the immediate. She says that's a good description because it conveys how the perceiving, living intelligence is present with the present moment. Awakened awareness is literally all of a piece with the present reality being perceived. The one being present and the reality being encountered are experienced as a whole. And that's the invitation to explore that for yourself. It says, there's in that moment, let me read you again. I've read this sentence to you before, but again, anytime you're in a state of pure attentiveness, focused entirely on something that's happening now, you don't feel at a distance from what is. There's no sense of being an entity observing something existing in time. You are the moment. So when we think of the future and gosh, that'll make me happy. If I just change this up a little bit, then I'll be happy. What have we done? We've taken ourselves right out of happiness. We've gone in the wrong direction. It's like Dorothy said in Wizard of Oz. That just came in my head. When I go searching for happiness, I'll never look anywhere but in my own backyard or something like that. But it's right here. And once you set out on that journey to Oz or to wherever you're going, man, you have gone on a long journey that's going to take you nowhere because it was here. It was here the whole time. Wow. She says the now is outside of time altogether. Time has no independent existence outside of the mind looking before and after. Other moments can occur only as thoughts, not as inhabitable reality. So, again, we talk about things that we can do, right, to awaken, to become more present. We talk about, okay, ignore your thoughts, focus on awareness, watching awareness, right? These are all tools just to help us realize this, that if you are anywhere but in the present moment, if you think about tomorrow, I mean, it's okay to plan. It's okay, we got to plan, right? You got to go from one place to the other, go figure out what you can buy at the grocery store, be able to make plane reservations, right? But what we do is we forget that we're making that up. We're making tomorrow up. We really think that it's, that it's a succession of moments, it's going to be here in a minute, right? But when it gets here, where are you going to be? You're still going to be in the now. So it's a helpful tool, but just like these thoughts, when, ego, the judge, whatever you want to call it, says, well, blah, blah, blah. And you go, that's ridiculous, right? You can learn to do the same thing with this concept of time. When you find that you're not here, you're off there and tomorrow somewhere, right? You can go, oh my God, that's ridiculous. It's impossible for me to be anywhere but right here, right now. Off in Tomorrowland. Yeah. And, we talk about, well, I don't know if we talk about it. I've thought about daydreaming, right? And I just did a 2-day car trip. And, it's like, oh my God, where did the road go? Because I wasn't there for part of it, right? Because I'm so into whatever moment, in the future or in the past. It's just, so I didn't see the sky, I didn't see the road, I didn't see the cars. It's wonder I didn't kill myself, right? I mean, and we do that all the time. We take ourselves out of here and put ourselves in an imaginary place and time. They don't actually exist. And what Jan has said here and in her book is, look, you want to talk about awakening? All it is being right here, right now. All it is realizing that when you're doing that thing, when you're daydreaming, when you're off there, you're in your head. You're not actually living life. And what she says is unfortunate is that most of us live our entire lives like that. And so when we're lying there on our deathbed and we're going, oh man, I wish I missed something. She says what's missing is not, you think what's missing is, gosh, I wish I'd focused more time on the things that were more important. That isn't it at all. What you missed was actually living life, actually living in the moment instead of living in your head, living your thoughts about life. And that's what most of us do. Because we give those thoughts about future and past and whatever we're thinking about over there instead of here, we give those the same reality, actually more so than this moment now. And so we miss it. We miss actual life. And it's so funny because we're so busy, like, oh gosh, okay, I can do this and then this and then that, and then I'll be happy. No. Those moments will never come. Those happy moments, right? Because when you're in those moments, guess where you're going to be? Off in the next moment, or back here where you should have been now, right? You can't actually get to that future happiness. Future happiness never comes. The future never comes. Happiness can only be found right here. And it's found right here by just being right here. I mean, my God, that's the good news, right? I don't have to finagle this or earn that much money or be respected by all those. No, I get to be happy just by being here right now. And it's not something I do. It's something I am. It's a state of being. And it's not something, if I hold my mouth right and I meditate right, that's not what I mean when I say a state of being. Ouch. I've got a cramp in my foot. It's just being. It's just being here now. And that's what you discover. Anytime you try it. And that, I realize that may sound fairly insulting. It's like, anytime I try it, what do you think I've been doing for 20 years? I've been trying it, right? But it's like they say, maybe we were just a little confused as to how to look. And, Michael Langford talked about it when he introduced watching awareness to us, right? You're like, okay, that kind of feels like I'm watching awareness. I think I'm doing it right? It's not, it's really, again, don't want to sound insulting, but it's not hard. Yeah, it's just a matter of not, it's a not doing. It's not transporting myself to another place or another time. It's just being here now. And gosh, didn't we didn't Ram Dass tell us that and everybody else? How do I be here now? Well, you don't be somewhere else. You don't go somewhere in your head. Let me see what else that I want to share from Jan. Yeah, I just want to read you some more of what she said in this same regard. Reread it. Connie read it beautifully, but I want to emphasize it here. In her section called Life is Now, she says, all of rememberable life is just a thought, however significant it was at the time, and however enduring its impact. All of rememberable life is just a thought. Only in the present tense moment it occurred would it ever be real. Anything anticipated, when or if it happens, will happen in some moment. That will be the now. When that happens, that will be the now. It will be real then and then only. What's crucial for the person engaged in spiritual inquiry is to get the difference between the life of a moment remembered and the actual life of that moment as it was lived. To not confuse the one with the other. Again, she says, it's not that you have to convince yourself that time isn't real. That's not it. That's more like, okay, am I doing this right? You don't have to convince yourself that time isn't real. You really just got to have the experience. And I don't mean, if you work really hard, then you get to have the experience. No, I mean right now. That's the only time you can have the experience. She says, it's not that you have to convince yourself that time isn't real. It's that whenever you're thinking about something in another time or place, realize its sole reality is the form of a thought. Just realize that's a thought. It's okay. It's cool. Right? But it's not real. It's just like any of these other thoughts that we work with. When you confuse memory or any thought with reality, you miss the now. You miss what you're looking for. I've been doing this 20 years. What? Look right here, right now. You don't have to do it another 20 years. It doesn't matter what you seem to do in those 20 years, which, by the way, are no longer real. If you focus on that, you're focused on unreality. You can see how it's just a shift in focus. When you confuse memory or any thought with reality, you miss the now. Over and over again, life is happening here, but attention is elsewhere. And what has been very, very helpful for me is a line from Peaceful Warrior, which is, are you paying attention? It's just very helpful to, when you're lost out here, wherever. Are you paying attention? Over and over again, life is happening here, but attention is elsewhere. The goal is to learn not to confuse a mental construct with reality. And that's what we do. That's what we do. And then we're like, where's reality? It's right here. It's right here. She says, thought has no independent reality. As soon as you stop thinking the thought, whatever it points to ceases to be. Either you're living life or you're living in the facsimile of reality that your mind creates moment to moment. So if you think you're unhappy and you think you need to go in some pursuit, think again or quit thinking. It's all here. It's all here. And, that silly little thing there where they say, the present's a gift. I get it. Present. It's the truth. It is a gift. It's what we are. Happiness is here now. Look for yourself. You'll see that gratitude. You won't see it. You'll just burst with it. Just be here now. Okay, I think I've said everything I have to say. I am going to play another song and see you on the other side of that. Oh, I should say, now's the time to donate. Sana will put a link in the room. Okay, here's the song. Okay, that's it. Love you guys. I'll stick around for fellowship half hour. Thank you for being here.
Been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.